Julie takes what she wants. She is incredibly intelligent, and I think she's had premeditated feelings and thoughts about what's happening on the mission and her duty, because she's also an engineer on the ship. And I think when Neil and I were talking, he was like, she kind of knows, and she like kind of acknowledges everything that's happening, but she chooses in her intelligence to not act on those things because it's outside the bounds of what she's been taught. And she knows that because she's incredibly intelligent. And so when I heard that, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, you know, she's aware. So it was cool, like, trying to play someone who is aware from the start, but chooses not to, like, you know, drop into that consciousness. There's so many different elements about it that I feel like haven't been done yet. I feel like people talk about, like, animalistic nature and, like, you know, those instincts, basic instincts that like humans have in like some other types of films, but never really like encapsulating that like on a spaceship with like young children or like just young kids in general. I feel like it's just really, it's an interesting experience. So I would really, really love for people to watch it. It basically dulls like all of your senses, and it prohibits you from kind of feeling all of these natural like instincts, natural desires, and just your thoughts are solely focused on one thing. And for us, that's kind of been guided to carrying out the duties on the ship. So that's what the blue does. And then when we're off of it, it's kind of like all of our animalistic, you know, instincts come to the surface, and we kind of go a little bit wild. Because I mean, we're also teenagers, so it's ridiculous. I think some of like the themes in the movie kind of relate to just basic animalistic human nature and like what we do in spaces that are like claustrophobic. And I mean, it's just kind of like, I remember looking at like absurdist plays and like just like so many things like that. When you're confined in this small space, like what happens? And it's interesting, like when we're all on like one drug, it's like complete unison. And then when we're all off of it, it's just like kind of like chaos. And it's like, which one is the more natural version of us, you know? And so it's interesting, like playing with those things and, you know, having so many of the actions of other people too kind of inform our decisions. And like, where does that like agreement with one another come from? So I feel like those tones like completely relate to like, you know, those tones and themes like completely relate to the world today. I feel like there's, you know, so much going on in so many different places. And I think, you know, human nature like really is displaying itself in the rawest of ways, especially now. I identify as being non-binary, non-gender conforming, and slightly on the trans masculine side. So it's been like an interesting experience, and I think especially with the way that the industry is moving right now, there's so much like visibility, and though there is like a lot of visibility at this time, there's so much more that we can be doing and so much more that like films can offer for queer, trans, non-gender conforming peoples of all orientations. And when I heard about this one, just the sheer fact that like the costumes were ungendered was like, that's a step, like that's something that offers representation. So even if films can do like slight, you know, changes, and even to the way that like we're all treated on set as well, you know, just like, you know, your role as this is to do this, and it's all very equal. And when we start shooting, it's, you know, that exact same thing. And so I really appreciate that and like adore that. And that goes to even like, you know, our director using preferred pronouns. Like that is like the most beautiful thing that someone can ask. And like sometimes we'll be shooting and he'll be like, Quintessa, I'm not sure where they are, but they should be right here. And I'll be like, Neil, I'm right in front of you, but like, thank you. So it's awesome, like people seeing you. Like that's the most important thing.